All right, welcome back to the Dion here YouTube channel. I'm making this video because I wanted to let y'all know that I played in my second official classical tournament game. It's basically a event called the DC Chess League, and I'm a substitute player. So sometimes they'll occasionally call me when they're like, "Hey, we don't have anybody that can fill in this position," or somebody called out recently, and we really need someone to come play. And they'll let me know, and I'll just let them know, "Hey, yeah, I'm definitely free," or "I'm not free." But fortunately, I was free for an event in Arlington, and I had a fantastic time. And I want to kind of break down this game, let y'all know. For anybody who doesn't know, Classical is a time format where they give you 90 minutes on the clock and 30 seconds time increments. So each time I make a move, I gain 30 seconds on the clock. I guess I won't say who my opponent was, but my opponent, he was rated 1340 over the board. In order to get a classical rating, you need to play 20 games in a tournament, and then they'll give you your rating. I played one game before when I filled in. It was my very first time doing chess notation and all that, but he was like a 1200 rated player, and back then I was a little lower rated on chess.com at least. I've been practicing a lot more, but I drew that game. It was a draw. Here are the chess notation papers. I guess I probably shouldn't show his name, but I mean, it's not too big of a deal because honestly, if you look up the records, if you look up the records on chess.com, you'll be able to see who I played anyway, or not chess.com, but the chess like archives. But this is kind of what the chess notation looks like. And also a bit of backstory. In order to do chess notation, you have to hit the timer and write down the chess notation and move the pieces all with the same hand that you choose. Just a little nuance for those who don't know. I know not everybody who plays like online has gotten an opportunity to play tournaments or play in person. Because frankly, I'm new. I'm very new to the tournament situation. This is only my second game. I play in person and I've started getting more experience with timers, but I'm still very, very new to this entire thing. And I just felt like it'd be kind of interesting to inform you all. But now to get into how the game went, I am extremely proud of this game again, because I was proud of my first game, but I still felt like, I was just kind of new to everything. I was losing for a long period of time. My opponent got cocky, and then eventually he made a mistake. I could have actually won, but all I kind of saw was like the draw. I wasn't comfortable making a certain move because I don't know. I felt like I wouldn't be able to get him in a position I wanted to, and then it ended up in a draw by repetition because he had checkmate the next move, and he obviously was going to go back and forth in these checks and wasn't going to allow himself to be checkmated. But this second game, I really came out with, I felt like psychologically I was doing well. I was making my moves fast, trusting myself. I was kind of just playing like, yeah, like I know my theory. I'm going to play this. I was playing a pretty aggressive, and I really just felt like I really just felt like I was kind of giving it to him, and he didn't understand the position as well as I did in the beginning. So I was able to get the upper hand fairly fast, and yeah, continue on from there. I wish I could flip this board around, but y'all will just, y'all might just have to see it from this side. But I'm black in this game. So my opponent opened up with d4. D4 is the queen's pawn opening. I'm not a stranger to this at all, but in my mind, I play the English a lot, which transposes into the queen's gambit if my opponent plays d4 and I don't take immediately and I just kind of play that line. But in this game, I don't know. I was just like, I was trusting myself. I could have played extra solid and played like d4, d5 to counter, or I could have, I mean, that's pretty much the move to go after. Like d5 would be my only other move that I'd go with, extra solid. I don't know who I was feeling like. I said c5, boom. I decided to enter into the old Benoni defense. This is a line I play a lot, again, as a flank pawn opener. The English is considered a flank pawn because if you don't open up with one of these two center pawns and play with the C pawn, I shouldn't have made the move. Play with the C pawn or the F pawn, that's considered a flank pawn. So this is still like a flank pawn type of defense, basically, because you didn't open up with any of your center pawns or play like a gambit with the e pawn where he could take, and then maybe I win it back fairly fast. Maybe even let him take another pawn, develop my knight, get something going. No, I didn't go for any of that. I went for this. My opponent after that, he ends up playing knight to f3. They already deemed this an inaccuracy. I'm going to pull this up. Off the win-loss counter too. Oh, that probably should have stayed the same. Might be at 100. There we go. So I'll just kind of list some of the top engine moves here, just to give a bit more insight on how the game is kind of going as well. But yeah, my opponent opens up here. They deemed this an inaccuracy, just because. Let's see some other lines they wanted you to play. They wanted you to play 2 d5, then play d. Yeah, they wanted you to play d5. They wanted the opponent to play d5. So push this pawn. D takes c5 would have been acceptable as well. But yes, definitely they want you to play d5 or maybe even e3. Take the center like that. My opponent plays knight to f3. I immediately take, because in the Obanoni, if you let me take the center pawn with a flank pawn, I'm fairly happy. So yeah, I take. Then my opponent does not even take with the knight. They take with the queen. Was this the best move though? Yep, they deemed this the best move. I would, in his position, I would honestly look to kind of take with the knight. I wouldn't end up in it a lot because I play the English again, but because yeah, I made it easy. I played knight c6. He drops his queen back to d1, and then I develop my other knight. Very principle play. What he does after is, I believe he, yep, develops his other knight to c3, and then this is deemed an inaccuracy, and as you can also see, the eval bar begins to shift immediately, which is kind of drastic because we're both developing our knights, but with this kind of slow move in tempo, I found the best move, which was d5. I played an Obanoni a lot, and I just know that I was kind of looking at, I was looking at pushing e5, but I felt like it wasn't the time to push e5. I might have trouble protecting it a little bit later. So I was like, yeah, let's just kind of wait to play e5. So I find the best move, which was d5. My opponent plays a bit too slow because, again, I was looking at when he played d5. I was expecting him to challenge the center and play e4, which is the best move and the best line, which gives him a fighting chance. And I'm trying to look at what the move for e4 is though, because yeah, it takes, he can't take, oh no, he could take the queen. I was prepared to trade queens. I probably end up taking with the king too, but we were gonna get into a fight basically. But I believe he played a bit too passive with e3, and they deem it a good move, but as you can see, the eval bar is starting to grow a little bit, and I was fairly happy because after he played e3, I ended up playing. The computer deemed me to play this move a little bit too slow, but I was kind of happy with this move because I'm putting pressure on this knight. They deem it an inaccuracy. I lose a little bit of my advantage, which I can understand why. But he plays a very principled move, which is bishop to e2. It's a good move, but still that just allowed me to play e5 eventually. And now I have the entire center locked under my control, and I'm also looking for the perfect opportunity to play e4. So during this game, I'm just like, man, eventually I'm going to play e4 and it's going to be crushing. Like, I'm going to be crushing with e4. But my opponent, he ends up castling, and I felt like this was wrong just because I felt like I had a lot going for me, and I felt like he just kind of ignored what was going on. Like, he just kind of let me take the whole center. They deemed this is the best move through computer analysis, so apparently it wasn't bad. But I was just feeling very confident because I'm just like, man, I just kind of have all my pieces in the center. I have both pawns in the center. I have both knights protecting the pawn. I've got my queen is protecting this one, so you can't even take it, even though you put some pressure on it. And your bishop is tucked behind your knight, and my other bishop is developed. I'm looking to develop my other bishop, and then castle. Those are my that was my sequence of orders. So in a way to get my bishop out there, I played this move right here. I felt like this move was really good. Apparently, what they don't deem it the best move. They deem it an excellent move, which is really good. But I felt this move was really good because I had a few different lines in mind, and I'll go ahead and show you what my thoughts were. My thoughts were along the lines where if he plays something like queen here, what was I going to play? I don't even want to look at the lines, so I'm going to try to not look at the lines. It was something along the lines of takes. Yeah, it was like takes, and he can't, I don't think he can take with the queen. Oh, well, yeah, so I kind of miscalculated, so he can't take with the queen. I was going to push this D pawn. I might have miscalculated because I was looking at this, but now he could just play this, I believe. Yeah, because yeah, he'll be okay, and it's even. I think I kind of miscalculated when I was looking there. No, because I could take here, and this bishop is literally still hanging. What is his only move to get out of this? Oh, takes bishop. Bishop takes first, takes knight, then he takes. But like a position like, oh, that's an inaccuracy. Oh, queen takes. Then queen takes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can understand. Now we're definitely both even. I mean, my knight is definitely still a bit more active. So I wasn't mad at that move at all. Those were just a few of my thoughts. My other main thoughts were if he played here, I was going to look to play here. Just because when he takes here, I take. I felt like I was good. Then he goes here. I would go here. I guess he could take with the knight or a few things. Do best move. Wow, and yeah, I guess that loses my advantage. So kind of what I was looking at wasn't the best, but I was making these moves fairly fast, and at this point in time, I still have a huge advantage here. Or I have a decent sized advantage for someone who's not up a single piece. We're even in piece, and I'm pushing like a 0.6 advantage, which is like, we just started the opening. Pushing an advantage this high is kind of interesting. So I was playing with those notions. Apparently, those were kind of wrong. My goal was to double his pawns, though. So if he were to ignore it, I was just going to look to take. I was just going to take immediately. I was just going to take immediately, double his pawns. Or if he was playing something like a little bit too passive, I was going to try to force his knight out and kick his knight around and eventually double his pawns. That was kind of the goal I was looking for. I don't know what he saw. Maybe he kind of saw what I was thinking. Maybe he just didn't like what was going on. He ends up playing knight to b1 and drops his knight back. Apparently he was okay. They deemed this a good move. But apparently he was okay with, leaving the knight there and maybe even pushing the queen. I felt pretty good. He took a lot of time on this move. At this point, I was making my moves fairly fast here. I maybe used 5 minutes in total, and he was probably pushing like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. He was really taking his time for these moves. And yeah, he ends up dropping his knight back to b1. He puts the knight back on the b1 square. I believe I castle. Yep, I castle. Yep, I castle. Then he ends up playing a3. Yep, kicking my bishop, which is good. I find the best continuation, which is putting my bishop there. I have a very immediate plan in mind, which is to bring my queen here, eye down this battery, and eventually kick your knight, trade off the bishop, and just take the pawn right there. Like, that's my immediate. Or if I need to, somehow you're keeping your knight there, I could literally take the knight anytime once this pawn gets pushed, and I'll have a nice battery eyeing down that pawn. I had very simple ideas, very easy access, and I'm starting to constrict this position just because I have all this space in the center. I can wait. I can push this pawn whenever I want to push this pawn. And he has trouble getting into my position just because I take up so much control in the center. Like, he can't. He's having a lot of trouble. But yeah, I bring my bishop back there. He ends up playing, yep, b4. I found was very interesting. So yeah, the computer doesn't like that either. During the game, I literally just felt like he just seems to be ignoring what I want to do too much. Like, he's playing defensively, and I felt like he was ignoring the wrong things. I felt like he was playing too passive when he needed to play too passive, and he was also not playing passive, not defending the right way. My opponent, though, he was playing a really good game. No, he really kept me on the run like the entire time. Because even like this b4 threat, I was like, I just don't want to give him any counterplay. Like, he pushes the pawn, it's gonna make me have to move my knight somewhere. If I push this pawn, if he pushes, I could then take, he gets his bishop out, and then I have enough time. Like, I end up playing a6. Yeah, I was reviewing this later, and they were like, it's inaccuracy. I still have a good 1 point advantage, and you got to keep in mind, to have this kind of advantage with no piece, without being even up a piece, is pretty interesting. And it just goes to show you how sharp you have to be in a position like this, because one wrong move and positionally, I just don't have the advantage anymore. As you can see, I almost messed up earlier. I almost literally didn't have the advantage anymore if I kind of reenacted my plan with this bishop over here on b4, but he ends up moving his knight back. But yeah, I got a little nervous just because I was like, hey, I don't want to give him any kind of counterplay. Let's like constrict his position. So even if he pushes the pawn, he takes with the bishop, I still enact my plan. He can never take with the bishop. That was my thing. He can never take with the bishop because I push the pawn and his knight is pinned, and I'm going to take his queen if he does. So he could never push with the bishop, especially once I got my pawn there. So that was just my idea. Like, I don't need to rush. Again, I'm playing a classical time format. Let's just play really solid and close all doors. Make sure all doors are closed and locked before I leave. That was kind of my goal. So yeah, I end up playing a6. My opponent, he plays oh, not yet. He doesn't play that move. He plays bishop to b2, which is a good move. I was looking at this move because I had to do a bit of calculation, because I was like, oh man, my plan is to push. What if he takes? He doubles my pawns. Well, if I push and he takes, I take his knight with my pawn, and now he has both his bishop under attack, by pawns. He could take back with the pawn here, but that just kind of opens the center, and then I slide my bishop there, and I'm attacking his rook, and I can actually play this line out. Take here, he takes. I'm pretty sure I take here. It's the best move, and it doesn't matter even if he takes here. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I take here. Huh. Now that I'm looking at it, though. Oh, no. My plan was never to push the pawn first. Although, they deemed that okay. I can't push the pawn first. I apologize. I played Queen C7. I played Queen C7 next. That was my move. Queen C7. Then he plays Knight BD2. They deemed that an inaccuracy. I can understand. It kind of just blocks your queen. And I get you want to eye your bishop out and develop your pieces, but again, I just felt like his piece play was just inaccurate and kind of like claustrophobic. Now I was looking at this move because even if he takes here, I take here, and now he is under attack by both pieces, and there's nothing he could do about it. And he could take here with the pawn, but now I could honestly take. Now I can honestly take with check. But I could probably go. I could go here, look to attack his rook. Even if he moves the rook, yeah, he just got too much under attack, and now I'm just winning. Now I'm just winning. His queen is his king is suffering, and I'm launching an amazing attack, and I'm going to be up material at some point. I'm going to be up material. So yeah, after this no, none of that happened. The queen after queen, I didn't play that. After I played queen c7, he played knight there. I pushed the pawn. That was a great move. So I waited for the perfect opportunity. I was literally waiting all game to play e4. I was setting this up for the longest time. I'm just marching forward, and yeah, I could tell my opponent was a little frustrated because he took a lot of time finding a move, and then eventually he made the move, and he like played these next move in like 30 seconds. Because after he dropped the knight back to knight back to e1, I took the bishop. He took back with the queen. Queen takes e2, and then I took right here. He slid over here immediately, and then I dropped back to e5. Quick. All great moves because I was like, I don't want to get my bishop stuck. I was debating leaving my bishop there, jumping in with the knight at some point. This is one thing I was debating, and I want to see if it kind of works too. I was like, what if I go here? And I was only looking at what if I go here because if the king takes, this is what I was looking at. I was looking at something crazy. I was like, yeah, if the king takes, I have knight f3 double check. The king only has a couple legal squares. Oh no, he only has one legal square, and I delivered checkmate. I was looking at this and I was like, dog, I have that, but the computer deems it a blunder, and I understand why, because I was like, I had to look at it like, I wonder what their best move is. I was just like, but the king doesn't have to take. That was my whole issue. I was like, but the king doesn't have to take. What happens if this is played? What is their best move? Bishop. Oh, his best move is just g3. Okay, so yeah, his best move is g3, trapping the bishop. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I can't even jump the knight in. He'll just take my knight, then take my bishop next turn. Like, yeah, I figured he had a move. I didn't even fully calculate it, but I was just like, man, it looks cool, but you got to play solid. Because again, right, he has 90 minutes to make a move. Like, he was taking at least like 10 minutes move. He was gonna find a way to not lose. But again, it would have looked really cool. But I just figured like it's not like certain. It's not 100% certain, and I didn't like that it wasn't certain. So I dropped my bishop back to e5, looking to simply trade off bishops from this diagonal, jump in with my queen, get something going. He plays a really good move, c3, which I was calculating. I was like, he has to play c3 because he just can't afford to lose his bishop on his strongest diagonal, because I'm gonna get all my other pieces in. And if we go to an endgame, it's just not looking good. Like, his knights are, look at his knights. His knights, that's not, you don't want your knights there. You want your knights in the center of the board, somewhere in the center of the board, like taking up space. Like, they're back here fumbling over each other. My knights are on pretty decent squares. So if we started trading off pieces now too, it would be just hard for you to develop. Like, your rook has no open file, is stuck in between to get out with this knight. This pawn is also like pricking your position, so you'd have to develop your knights outward like so. You can't even go here. You kind of have to finagle. I was just like, his piece play, I just felt in my bones, because I can't see the evaluation, bro. I just felt in my bones, I'm good, but I have to find a way to keep this up. So c3, I play rook f8-3 with the simple idea of playing rook here, And the funny thing is, if he played anything like too passive too, like let's say he played knight over here, I was gonna look to get my rook here. I was gonna put my knight here. I was gonna put my knight here. Because he can't take. Because if he were to take my knight, and I'll go ahead and play it out for you guys. He plays something too slow. I get my rook here. He plays here. I was gonna play knight to here, just because they deem it inaccuracy, but I'm still winning by a good margin. Just because I was like, boom, he can't take with the queen, because then I slide my rook over and his rook is pinned. But if he like doesn't take with the queen, I was just like, man, I'm gonna play this, stack my knight. Oh, that's a mistake, but I don't know. I was looking at some lines like this, and then eventually I was gonna look to play, I don't know, get in there with my rook or something. He plays there, here, here. Oh, do I not have check? Oh, my queen isn't on the diagonal. I don't know. I was just like, I had 90 minutes to figure it out. 30-second increments. There was gonna be some type of attack brewing, and this doesn't look pleasant for your king at all. Maybe you didn't slide the queen in. Your king is under a massive attack. Your king is struggling. I was looking at all of that. So yeah, that's why I kind of slid my rook over. I was just gonna get my rook a little bit activated. He plays rook f8. He plays g3. Very good move. Very good move. This is when my opponent starts putting on a defensive masterclass. He plays just pawn at g3, and I probably should have played this move a little bit earlier. I'm not sure. They still deem it a good move. Queen d7. I'm just kind of poking and prodding his position, looking to get in there. I was like, if he plays there, I play there. But again, my opponent is just playing very fantastic. He plays king to g2. He's just covering all these squares. I still end up sliding my rook up to e6. Afterwards, he slides his rook over to h1. I was like, yeah, my plan doesn't initially work. No knight jumps. I can't even jump the knight. I blocked it with the rook. So I said, hey, let's just kind of slide the queen to d6. Yeah, get the queens. I don't know. I'm looking at sacrificing the bishop at some point, maybe, at the trying to attack this weak pawn. Yeah, just kind of get the queen on that square. He plays rook to h3. Obviously putting more protection on this pawn right here. He was playing really good. He was not going down without a fight. I'm only up one pawn, but his king safety is really bad, and also I have a lot of thorns in his position, and my pieces are just kind of swarming him. Like his knights are doing effectively nothing. His bishop is stuck behind this pawn. It's doing nothing as well, because he made a good decision not trading on, but it's just his pieces aren't really doing much. But he's putting on a masterclass of what he has, and putting in all his effort to protect this pawn and fight and just keep his position close. Because again, I'm only at one pawn. If he gets this to an end game, one mistake after another, he draws a game. Maybe I get overzealous and get frustrated. Oh, I was winning out of that. He wins the game. I make even more mistakes. But yeah, he plays rook h3. I play knight e7. So yeah, I drop this knight back here, looking to maybe get this knight in at some point. I don't know. On this, I just wanted my knight on this side. I was like, nothing's happening on this side of the board right now. So let's get my knight over. He plays knight c2 with the simple idea of jumping in and attacking my rook that's stuck in the middle, forcing me to take. And then he would probably take with this. And I did not want to lose my bishop. I was like, dog, my bishop is my biggest threat right now. Like, my bishop queen battery is like such a big threat. And if he jumps in, I can't let my rook get taken. So I'm going to have to take. He takes with the pawn, and now he has pawns kind of thorning my position. And that would suck. That would be tragic. That's what I was looking at. So I just said, hey, I wanted to slide my rook over anyway. I was looking at putting my rook here to give it more pressure anyway. So I slid my knight back to d7, simply just to give my rook an out. So yeah, knight to d7. He ends up playing rook a h1. So yeah, he puts his rook there. Now he's launching an attack on the file that I opened up. Again, my opponent was playing fantastic. Boom. Both his knights are now in the game. Like, his knights are now looking to jump in. Boom, boom. This knight can maybe just go there immediately. And now he has both these rooks eyeing down this file. Like, he's getting something going. Maybe he even slides the queen in, sacrifices a, like, I don't know. He's getting something going with his offense. He's making something out of nothing. My opponent was putting on a masterclass with what was going on. So I end up playing a, pretty no-brainer move though. H6. I just can't let him take my pawns with that battery, or even protect with a piece. Just wasn't necessary sliding extra pieces over all this turmoil. No. And he plays his move that he wanted to play anyway. Knight to d4, attacking my rook, and then I enact my plan, which is rook to g6. Yeah, just put more pressure on this file right here. This pawn is now being attacked by 3 pieces, and it's also being protected by 3. If I get something else in there, I'm not there. If I get my knight in there or something else, I might be able to get something going with a sacrifice and mate his king. But his knight is protecting my knight's jump-in square, so and I can't dislodge it with the bishop because I need my bishop. I felt like I really need my bishop right now. It's just so strong and just so, like, such a force to be reckoned with currently. So yeah, as I played rook to g6, he plays a very interesting move, king to f1, and I guess he got to a point where he was like, yeah, no, this isn't what's gonna happen, and I can't sacrifice yet either. Even though he's lost a defender, I was like, I feel like he could run away. Yeah, I feel like he could run away. I'm trying to look at these lines to see if they see something else. They want me to either take the knight, they want me to play a5, they want me to play b5, which I played later in the game. But yeah, none of the lines say sacrifice yet. Just because I was like, man, I could take this pawn. They take, I take, they take, I take. But then I'll only be left with a queen. That's not enough to do anything with. And I was like, man, he's getting away. And during the game, again, you can't see the eval bar, so I'm sure I'm winning. Like, these king moves seem kind of unprecedented, but they're also like very helpful because all of my attention went over there. But I quickly was like, hey, that's okay. I'm going to shift my attention to this side of the board over here and start kind of, I was like, this pawn is very weak. This pawn is very, very, very weak. His queen can't go here, and his queen is just going to kind of have trouble shifting over to protect it. That's kind of how I felt at the very least. So I played knight to b6 with the sole purpose of either jumping in the knight right there to kind of attack, or jumping in the knight over here to attack this and the pawn, then sliding my rook over. Like, I was just trying to get some piece play over here, get my final rook into the game and active. Now all my pieces are playing a pivotal role. That's a very important part of chess, having your pieces come together and work in unity, and have everybody just come together, hold hands, and just sing and dance. And I really felt this energy. I was having a great time this entire game. I was having a fantastic time this entire game. I felt really good. I felt really good. But I was also I was so stressed too. Like, my stomach, I'm sure people could hear a few times. My stomach would go like, because I was just like so stressed. I had to keep stretching, but it was also a long game. But I was like stretching because, like, and I was getting so nervous. I would start like shaking, like visibly shaking. And I'm just like trying to take deep breaths because I'm like, you're winning. Like, I don't know. It's just so, you just go through so many emotions, and you're literally, I sat there for 2 hours. So, it's psychological, but like, it's even every minor point starts to feel like a major because there's so much build up. There's just so much build up to stuff. And I'm just like, keep it together, Dion. But I was having the time of my life. So I played knight to b6. Again, I felt like he just wasn't playing moves that, like, where like I don't think he could see what I was aiming for until it was late, and then he'd have to overcompensate. And now that he's overcompensated over here, like both his rooks are now over here on this file, my rook is stopping this. And I have like my rook here and my queen here. Like there's nothing happening over here. So both these rooks are effectively going to be doing nothing. And all of my pieces can now effortlessly, all of my pieces are like effortlessly shifting over here. And like all of the, and I can take here anytime I want. Like all of my pieces are now looking to like effectively get over here. And the most you'll have is like, it's going to be difficult to work this knight in to protect. It's going to be difficult to get the queen. The king is going to take too many moves for it to walk. Like my piece play and my piece coordination, I felt like was just too good to do much about it. So he was putting, again, he was putting up a fantastic fight. Like I had to do all this movement, but I was able to like feel out the board and keep switching sides, and eventually it just literally just became too much, which will justify why I'm up so much. But yeah, after knight b6, he plays king e1. So yeah, he continues to try to slide that king over, making that run for. I play rook c8, and now again, final piece of the puzzle. I've got all my pieces are now active in some sort of way, and all his aren't. These two are eyeing down nothing. This is still putting pressure on this pawn right here. This is putting pressure right here. My queen is like a flex piece, so I don't know. You know, it's holding down the 6th rank fairly well, but it's also yeah, I could shift it over here if I need to. I could shift it over here if I need to, put some pressure on this pawn. We're still putting pressure on this pawn. This knight could jump in at any time, and yeah, I guess this knight isn't doing too much right now. Yeah, this knight isn't doing too much right now, but I don't really need it to. This rook is putting pressure right here, and this knight is about to jump in and put some pressure in right there. So, and I mean, no, if his queen moves, if I take and I jump in, nah, this knight isn't really doing too much. I mean, I guess I could jump the knight right there and dislodge his knight that way, but then he would just take inward. Yeah, this knight isn't really doing too much, so, but it's not really getting in the way either. He has 2 rooks kind of staring at a brick wall. This knight is doing nothing, and it can't jump because it is pinned. It can't, not pinned. My pawns are like little spikes, so it's constricted on its movement. This bishop is only protecting this pawn, but it's kind of staring at a brick wall. Like bishops want like long diagonals to scope from. This queen is having a hard time like maneuvering. Like it queen, it can't even go there, or there actually, or there. It could maybe go here, can't go here. Yeah, like his pieces are just very constricted, and he's having a hard time finding out where he even wants his king. Yeah, so after I play rook c8, I play knight b1. I'm sorry, he plays knight b1. I was like, how did I play knight b1? He plays knight b1, so that's what he does. He ends up bringing the knight back to put more pressure on this pawn, so he could see what I was doing, but I was just like, it just can't matter, right? Like knight all the way back to the b1 square, knight all the way back to the b1 square as one of the late game moves, and we haven't traded that many pieces off the board, so we're not even in like an end game, but in a middle game, moving the knight back to b1, that can't be right, and his position is just gonna fall apart. Like he's just so constricted, and I can literally just take my time and wait for the right time to strike. I play knight c4. I was looking at knight a4, but honestly, I got to a point where like, why would I put the knight at the edge of the board? It definitely has more value in the center of the board, and it still attacks the bishop. And if it goes here, it just attacks the bishop and this pawn, but I wouldn't be winning this pawn because it's still protected by the knight. So I said, let's jump in the center, attack the bishop, and attack. I guess put pressure on this pawn, but also kind of put pressure on the center pawn. Maybe jump in with the take there, jump in with the knight. Now I'm putting a lot of pressure right here. Slide the queen. Like that started what I was looking at. Like now let's put my pieces on squares that they can really do some damage. So I play knight c4. He ends up playing bishop d1. So he was like, yeah, I kind of don't like that you're putting pressure there. Let's drop this back so you don't take my bishop, and also so that you're, I'm putting more protection on this square, still protecting this square, and my knight protects this square. So yeah, again, with what he had, he was making this very difficult for me. Like this was very difficult for me. I finally play bishop d4. You could probably see the computer wanted me to make that move for a little while, but I just was like, let me maneuver my pieces. Let me take my time. No need to rush and take pieces when he's playing kind of these backward passive moves, and I know I want my pieces on better squares. So then he takes back with the c pawn, the best move obviously. Takes back with this pawn. I'm breaking over the center. I'm dismantling the center. And after this move, I play queen c7. There we go. So now I got to the point where I was like, okay, now I want to maneuver my queen on this side and basically look to move my knight out of the way. I looked at this move honestly, because if he takes, I take with check. Then he would have to block with the queen. I take the queen, he takes back. I was gonna like attack the pawn with like the knight and attack the pawn right there, or slide the rook and attack the pawn right there. But I was like, I don't know, that's too, I was just too complex for what I needed right now. Yeah, I just felt like that was too much. He ends up playing queen d1. Understandable. He doesn't want me. If I move my knight out the way, now I can still take it, but he could probably shift his king out the way eventually. So yeah, I play something simple. I just play knight b6. Simple. I'm just literally looking to attack there, trade off my pieces, and win a piece. He plays oh snap, I missed the move. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He plays queen d1. So I was looking, that's what I was doing. I was looking at this move, but then I said, wait a minute. Then this pawn isn't doing much. So I said, let's play b5 and let's literally lock up the position. So if he plays here, I don't even have to do anything. Now I can slide back, because if he takes, I just take and I'm okay. Or no, if he slides back, first of all, I take immediately, then trade off. Then if he takes, I take later. But I was like, now my position is, I'm literally locking the position down, and then I'm gonna play knight, because I was like, yeah, you can be patient. Like he's playing in a passive manner. Don't jump the gun and attack, because now that he's not really doing anything, I can wait and make the move when I want to make the move. So I play b5. Then he plays king f1. Now I slide my knight back to b6, and then he plays king g2. So he's making this so difficult, bro, because I can't just take now, because he takes my queen, I take, and then he takes back, and he wins a queen and a rook, and I only want a queen and a bishop. Now I'm losing. So I do a good bit of thinking here and calculating, because I was like, I'm looking at queen c2 just because I want to trade off queens, but what if he doesn't trade them off immediately? Can I slide over fast enough for my other rook? I was just looking at a few possibilities, but I ended up getting to the point where it's like, yeah, queen c2, because I just want to trade, right? I just want to trade. If I don't get to trade, I'm probably going to take and then bring my rook up anyway. Like, I don't want to get into a point where we somehow trade pieces and we're getting to this end game and I don't have enough in attack and we stay even, and then he ends up drawing the game because I only have one extra pawn. Like, I was just like, imagine putting in all this work and still losing in the end game. That's just what kept going through my mind. And I was like, well, I need to get my queen here so that I can then slide my queen out, bring my rook, And now if we start trading pieces, I'm going to have a rook on your second rank, and that is just devastating. That was my thought process. Rook on the second rank is devastating. And when we trade off pieces like queens and stuff, you know, like things are going to get bad. And ultimately, he is like, oh, well, I just can't let your queen sit there. So we end up trading queens. I bring my rook to second rank, and I'm like, now I'm ecstatic. I'm like, yes, this is the position that I want. This is the position that I want. So he plays I play rook takes c2. He plays bishop d2. Again, he is fighting hard. I was putting a lot of pressure on this file, but now I can't take the bishop obviously because the knight's protecting it, and my rook is no longer putting pressure on this file. I said, well, that's okay. I jumped my knight in, looking to basically just take the bishop, and I was like, yeah, there's not much he can do at this point because I'm going to trade off anyway, and if he takes, then I'll just like look to grab his pawns, slide my pieces over. Like I'm like, okay, I think we're nearing the end. I honestly was like, I think we're nearing the end of this game. I mean, time was obviously dwindling down. I had a huge time advantage. I was up at least probably 30 minutes by a certain point, and he plays trying to remember. It was a fascinating move. C4. He plays bishop back to c1, which I was like, no, that can't be right. I was like, doesn't he have to play like rook to h1? Rook to d1, rook h1 to d1. He has to play some protection there, but he slides the bishop back, and now he can never put the bishop back here because I could just take. He takes, and I'm taking him a piece. I'm just a piece, and once he slid the bishop back, I was like, yo, I now have a wide open like file. I can just do what I want. So I slide the rook over to f6. And at this point, he's really slowed down and was looking at his position, was like, And I think he realized, like, man, this is not going good. So he plays rook to f1. I play the dagger. And this is when I was like, after I made this move, I hit one of my deepest, like I was stretching all game, but I finally like hit like the deep, like stretch, lean back, and I stood up and I was stretching and I was shaking my legs out too, because I was like, yeah, like that's it. Because even when I was talking about like, oh, I can get to an end game and win, it still wasn't like 100% clear and decisive. After this move, I was like, oh yeah, it's clear and decisive. Because I played knight to f5. I was looking later, the computer actually said I could play takes immediately. He takes, I don't know. And then I take the bishop. And maybe I don't know that line. Honestly, I was, and not in a million years I wouldn't have played this. I played knight to f5. And I was like, oh yeah, it's over off the sole basis that this pawn is pinned. So you got to think this pawn isn't defending this pawn right here. And I'm attacking this pawn twice. So even if he slides his rook over, I'll take with the... I'll play a bunch of hypotheticals. No, first I'll just do what he did in the game. In the game, he played rook to h1. This was over. This was the dagger because now I take. Again, this pawn isn't protecting anything because it's pinned to the king. So he takes with the bishop. I took with the knight. Check. And once he moves that out the way, I'm basically looking to take the rook. Once he takes back, no matter where the king goes, if the king goes here, I'll be able to take the pawn with the rook. We can actually play all these moves out, so let's do that. It doesn't matter. The king could go here. I'm taking here. He takes there. I take here. Check. He has to trade off everything. That's a winning. That endgame is like a no-brainer. I'm winning this endgame. King can go here. But I take here still. I mean, you don't want to lose a piece for free. I go here, and that's winning too. And but after I made this move right here, my opponent took a few minutes and then he resigned. shook my hand, was like, good game. But even if my opponent were to play like instead of that move, my opponent were to play this move, I still was going to take, because he could take, and I was going to take right here, and then even if he took, now I still was going to take right here. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the move I was looking at. I was like, dog. I was looking at this end game, because I had this in my mind. I was like, I forgot where it was, but I was like, dog, if we get into that line, it doesn't matter. He can't even protect that. He can't protect the pawn. I'm playing rook to f2. His king has only like 2 legal moves. It doesn't matter where he goes. One of these 2 squares. I'm playing rook here. He comes back up. I was gonna mate him like this. I'm like, dog, is he really about to get mated like this? If I mated him like that in the game, I would have felt so like, dog, that is fantastic, bro. That is fantastic, bro. But yep, that did not end up happening. He ended up sliding his rook back one more. Yep, we trade here, and my opponent was like, all right, you know, this is enough. I finally, after a long game, this is now the only time that I really had an actual major piece advantage, because before, I was literally only at 1 pawn the entire game. The eval bar told a different story, but I was only at 1 pawn that entire game. But he resigned, and yeah, I am very, 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 very proud of that game. To also show a little bit of kind of what their thoughts are. Let's X out of this. So the computer is actually saying that I played. Oh no, it didn't game review the game I just put in. Well, I showed the game review on my phone, and the computer said that I played a 2300 rated game, while my opponent played a 1900 rated game, which is pretty fantastic. I'm very proud of how that game went. Definitely looking to play more. And if you stuck around to the entire video, definitely like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. Definitely would help me out a lot. You could also follow me on Twitch, where I will go live and play certain chess games on _Dion_here, and also follow on Instagram for any updates at _Dion_here as well. And yeah, leave a comment whether it's like you want you have any questions about my experience playing in a classical tournament for the 2nd time ever, and I can give you a little bit of experience from, or just like my genuine reaction. Maybe you just found something funny. Maybe you had a question on certain points of the video. Maybe you spotted a move that were like, hey, if your opponent hit you with this tactic, you would have lost. I love the engagement, and I just love for you to drop it down in the comments below. But yeah, until next time, and take care.